Hey everyone, it's B, and you're listening to another episode of the In Your Feelings podcast. Before I get into the episode, I did just want to let all of you know that my third book, A Gentle Reminder, is finally back in stock after all of you sold it out in quite literally 2 days, which completely blew me away. I don't think I have the words quite yet to describe just how grateful I am for the community of human beings who support my work and what I'm trying to do in this world, but it has truly made me feel like the luckiest person alive. And to know that so many of you hold my words close is truly all I've ever wanted, and it makes me feel so deeply happy to know that this book is resonating with all of you. So if you missed out on the first print run and would like to learn more about A Gentle Reminder, I'll leave the links in the description for you so you can check it out. All right, so this episode is going to dive into a few of the biggest lessons I've learned over my lifetime. I'm turning 30 on the 15th of May, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting and thinking about all of the things that I've gone through and all of the realizations I've made and the knowledge I've gained from both the beautiful experiences and the difficult experiences. So much of my writing is a reflection of that, but I wanted to create an episode that connected with the most formative things I've come to learn in the hopes that maybe these pieces of advice, maybe these small reflections, help for you to feel less alone on your journey or encourage you to think about life a little differently today. It's in sharing these reminders that I hope you can learn from me, and I hope that my growth and my lessons and these reflections can help to inspire you in your own healing and in your own growth. So to start, one of the most resounding realizations that I have come to, that I've connected with over time, is that happiness is small. I think we've been taught from such a young age that happiness is meant to be this big, all-consuming thing. That it's this moment that cracks open our bones and changes our lives and sweeps all of the weight inside of us away. That it's something that is awarded to us or gifted to us by the world. That it's something we are always in pursuit of until we find it. And so we are always waiting for this experience, this simplifying in life, this tower moment where the wounds are all healed and the growth is all organized neatly within our rib cages, and our hearts aren't afraid of loving anymore, and the warmth never leaves. It took me a very long time to learn this, but I don't think happiness is big or infinite at all. I think real happiness, true happiness, exists in the acceptance of the fact that we will always be balancing what is light and dark within ourselves. I think real happiness, true happiness, exists in the quiet, in the small things, in a morning cup of coffee, in the sound of your mother's voice on the other end of the phone. I think real happiness, true happiness, is believing that you are meant to be here, that you are meant to take up space in this world. I think real happiness, true happiness, is finding the human beings who take care of you, not in a materialistic way, but rather finding the human beings who take care of your soul, who take care of even the most chaotic parts of who you are. I think real happiness, true happiness, is all around you at all times, pinned and blooming in the things you stopped paying attention to because you were always searching for more. Flowers on your walk to work, the intensity in the air when you meet someone and you know they're going to change your life, the way your stomach flips when you hear your favorite song come on when you first get in the car, the way your person's eyelashes feel as they blink across your neck when you're holding them. And so I don't think happiness is something you find, or that it is this destination you get to where the night never comes and you are bulletproof and unaffected by the mayhem in life. I think the mayhem will always exist. We are literally made from it. We wouldn't even be here if it weren't for the crashing and the banging of atoms within this universe. I think happiness exists in the understanding that the pain holds just as much importance as the beauty. I think happiness exists in finding the things that make us feel known and special and at peace in this world, no matter how small or insignificant they feel, and letting them save us. I think happiness exists in learning how to embrace the dark, in learning how to see it as the very thing that makes us appreciate the light. When I really let this sink in, when I really dedicated myself to thinking about happiness as something that was all around me, and also as something that was a reflection of how deeply I was willing to know myself and to pay attention, I felt so much gratitude. Happiness wasn't this large and looming thing that I had to earn, or that was going to be rewarded to me after years of chasing. Happiness was something internal. It was awareness. It was kindness. It was growth. It was small. And building off of that, over the last 2 years especially, I have learned in a very deeply beautiful but extremely difficult way that life is truly meant to be lived. That this existence is a gift. And I do think that sometimes we forget that. I will fully admit that I learned this lesson in a way that I wish I hadn't. I lost my mom, and in losing her, in going through that experience, I truly saw just how fleeting and in turn just how precious life was. 2 years ago, my mother went to the doctors thinking that she pulled a muscle in her neck, and she ended up being diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She was so empowered and beautiful my whole life. She's truly the reason why I believed in impossibility, why I dreamed as much as I did, why I understood my own heart. She had so many hopes. And then she got sick. Very out of the blue, in this abrupt and intense way. And from there, everything changed. She didn't know how much time she had. She didn't know if she would beat it or if she would even wake up the next day. And that uncertainty, that feeling like life was suddenly so different than what she had envisioned. At first, it felt unfair. like time was being taken away from her, because we move through this life as if time is promised to us. But one of the biggest lessons my mother taught me in that season was that sometimes life goes to plan and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the things you are most hopeful for end up dissipating or not coming to fruition. Slowly, I saw the fear in my mother disappear. And instead of being angry or saddened about how uncertain her life suddenly became, she became the most joy-filled person. She would open her eyes and genuinely rejoice that she had another day here, that she got to see another sunrise, that she got to hold my father's hand just one more day. Because that is what happens when everything is challenged and you really connect with the fact that you are lucky to be alive. That tomorrow is never promised. That the only thing you can control is how you show up and your gratitude. Your gratitude for another day. Your gratitude for having woken up. Your gratitude for a warm cup of coffee or a beautiful moment with someone you love, or the fact that you were given another 24 hours to put your heart into this world. And saying goodbye, my mother introduced me to a version of myself that felt like it had woken up. That felt like it had finally seen just how fragile and precious life was. And from that, I learned that you have to live. You have to take advantage of your time here. You have to be present. You have to chase the things that ignite you. You have to do the things that bring you joy. You have to surround yourself with the people who bring you back home to yourself, with the people who respect you and embrace you in ways that make you feel like you are worthy and accepted and loved. You have to do the work to heal yourself even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, so that you do not continue to approach your life within the boundary of what is heavy within you. You have to put yourself out there. And you cannot worry about what other people think. You cannot rob yourself of experience or happiness or inspiration because you're scared of how you will be perceived. You have to be unapologetic in the way that you exist here. You have to believe that your ideas and your hope and your being deserve to take up space. You have to believe that you have purpose. Because our existence is finite. And as hard as that is to understand, as hard as that can be to connect with, from time to time, remind yourself that in the most human way, we are all living on borrowed time. We live as if we're promised the experiences and the potential we're chasing. We live as if we have control over what happens to us, but we don't. And that is liberating because it is pressing. There is urgency within the lesson. It really, really wakes you up. Remember, you are not promised tomorrow. So how are you going to ensure that you crash your heart into your life? How are you going to ensure that you leave this world whenever it happens for you with a soul that is tender and full and weathered in the best way? with a soul that was never asked to make itself smaller, with a soul that was never waiting for the day it was skinnier or prettier or cooler or more successful in order to take advantage of the time it was given. We cannot wait to be the people we have always dreamed of being. We can't wait for life to perfect itself. There is no right time. There is no perfect circumstance. We have to leap even when our legs are shaking. We have to show up for ourselves, not in 3 months or 5 years or 10 years, but now, in this moment. Because every single day is a blessing. Every single day is a gift. We have to live each day in gratitude. We have to be present. We have to be thankful that we are here. Life is a mess you will never be able to contain. And so all you can do is crash your whole soul into it. All you can do is wake up happy for another day, another chance to find even the smallest bit of beauty and magic within it. Okay, before we get into the next little reminder, I did just want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare, for helping to make this episode possible. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions of people come together to be inspired and to learn and grow along their creative journey. Something that I really admire about Skillshare is that the platform allows for you to dive into and experience different facets of so many industries and topics like marketing, creative writing, and design, which is incredibly helpful for those like me who have always been curious and passionate about trying new things. I think as a creative, it's so important to be a lifelong learner and to encourage yourself to seek inspiration in a variety of places. With Skillshare, you can choose a class that is relative to your skill level and your schedule, with short lessons and hands-on projects making it easy to stay committed and to work towards the goal you have for yourself. And not only is this knowledge so accessible on Skillshare, but a membership ends up being less than $10 a month, which is incredible for the amount of value you're receiving. One of the classes that I'm really excited to take is a class called Writing for Self-Discovery, which consists of 6 journaling prompts for gratitude and growth. We talk so much on this podcast about how gratitude and doing the internal work, even when it's scary, is so important along our journeys. And so many of my poems come from journal prompts and from diving into those small but impactful moments. So I know that this class will only help to inspire my writing further. If you'd like to join me in taking that class, or if you're interested in learning more about something that has always seemed inspiring to you, I'd really encourage you to check out Skillshare. To help with that, Skillshare is offering all of you listening to the podcast a trial of a premium membership. You can head to skillshare.com/inyourfeelings to redeem it. I'll link it below, but again, that is skillshare.com/inyourfeelings. All right, so another deeply important lesson I have learned is related to what I spoke about earlier in this episode. Time is precious. Our time here is so unbelievably precious, and we do ourselves a disservice when we give so much of that time and so much of our energy to those who do not see the value in what they are receiving. If I were to tally up all of the moments, all of the mental energy that I spent worrying about someone who was not showing up for me the way I deeply desired, who was not loving me the way my heart desired to be loved. If I were to see it spelled out, something came up for me and it said, you spent X amount of years overall chasing what wasn't chasing you, wishing that things could be different, trying to give so much of your love to someone who was not respecting it or honoring it. If I saw that, I would be sad. And if you think about yourself, if you think about all of the sleepless nights, all of the overthinking, all of the trying to make something work when you knew deep down in your soul that it wasn't for you. If you think about all of the things you gave your energy to that were not deserving of your energy, how much time did you give away? How much love did you give away? How much of your life did you give away? I know that sounds intense, but when I started to deeply connect with this, that is when I started to become aware of those moments and that energy. Instead of letting something consume me or break me down, instead of feeling like I had to work to be loved or valued, instead of settling for something that I knew was not for me out of fear of never finding the beautiful things I hope to find in another human being, I started looking at everything as a means of adding energy to my life or taking it away. And from there, I started moving away from the things and the experiences and the human beings that drained me, that made me doubt my heart, that could not love me or value me. Because if I am going to spend any of my time here thinking about something or loving someone, I want it to add peace to my life. I want it to be good. I want it to be kind. I don't want to waste any time here chasing the hurt. I want to feed into the goodness. Okay, last but not least, I'm sure a lot of you know this is coming because I reiterate this in almost every podcast episode, but one of the biggest lessons I have learned in this lifetime is that it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage to love, to be kind, to be the person who lives with an open heart. And that is a deeply powerful thing. And I know that when you love deeply, especially in this generation, you can feel misunderstood or like you'd be better off if you didn't have a heart like yours. But the world needs human beings like you. The world needs hearts like yours because beautiful things are vanishing each day, and we can't let love and compassion and empathy be one of those things. We can't. So please stay open. Please just stay open, because if you let the world convince you to close yourself off to potential hurt, you in turn close yourself off to potential awe and potential joy. When you assume that you will never be seen and accepted for who you truly are, you rob yourself of the opportunity to be known, to be surprised by those who will show up in your life and hold your heart the way you have always hoped for it to be held. And yes, being vulnerable may hurt you, but it may heal you. There is always that risk. But you are here to risk your heart. So risk it. Because there are situations and human beings in this world of billions that will meet you where you are, that will make you aware of just how beautiful it is to be fully open and seen and unafraid of falling. There are moments you're going to connect with, small and intense and deeply special moments that will stick to your bones and remind you why you tried, why you stayed open. And it is up to you to tuck those moments into yourself for safekeeping. It is up to you to always believe in that beauty. Because this world will never be void of dark. But that just means there will always also be light. And that is because of people like you. That is because of hearts like yours. At the end of the day, it takes courage to love. It takes strength to stay soft in a world that has not always treated you with kindness. That is not a weakness. That is your power. One of the greatest lessons I have ever learned is that to be soft is to be strong. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you all for listening and for being here. I hope that these words help for you to think. I hope that my experiences and my growth and all of the lessons I have collected along my own journey can better prepare you for yours, or make you feel less alone in what you're feeling or navigating or learning yourself right now. As always, I hope you're staying safe out there, and if no one told you this today, you are so, so loved.